Welcome to another new episode. Like always, today we are here with an exciting topic that will boot your knowledge. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into the main discussion.
Right, let's jump right in. Today we're unpacking a genuinely wild, high-stakes explainer on human ingenuity, impossible deadlines, and an orbital rescue mission that, well, didn't exactly go to plan. We're going to dive deep into exactly what went down high above our heads. It's got a bit of everything: orbital mechanics, aerospace economics, and the literal, monumental challenge of trying to save a sinking spaceship. I mean, just picture the tension in mission control for a second. What exactly do you do when a 20-year-old, totally invaluable space telescope just starts sinking? It honestly sounds like the inciting incident for a sci-fi blockbuster, right? But this became a very real, literal life-or-death scenario for a veteran piece of NASA hardware. Because, when a spacecraft starts to drift out of its intended orbit, the clock immediately starts ticking. You have to act incredibly fast or you just lose a priceless scientific asset forever. And the spacecraft in distress here? That's NASA's Swift Observatory. This incredible piece of tech has a mind-blowing 2-decade legacy. Really think about that: 20 years surviving in the harsh, completely unforgiving vacuum of space. And for all that time, it's been our watchful eye in the dark, hunting down some of the most massive, violent events in the cosmos. By locking on to gamma-ray bursts and exploding stars, Swift has fundamentally reshaped our whole understanding of the universe's earliest days. So you might be wondering, why was this super stable, highly successful telescope suddenly in such immediate danger? Well, the culprit was actually our very own sun entering a highly active phase. When we hit what's called a solar maximum, the crazy increase in solar radiation actually heats up and expands Earth's upper atmosphere. And that atmospheric expansion, it creates this sudden, totally unexpected aerodynamic drag on low-orbit satellites. So quite literally, this invaluable 20-year-old telescope got caught in that puffed-up atmosphere and just started sinking back toward Earth way before anyone anticipated. Of course, NASA wasn't just going to sit back and watch it fall out of the sky. They decided to mount a rescue, putting a massive $30 million contract right on the line. To actually pull this off, they teamed up with Katalyst Space Technologies, which is this aerospace startup based out of Flagstaff, Arizona. Now, the mission objective was pretty straightforward on paper: capture the sinking telescope, boost it up to a safer orbit. But in reality, incredibly daunting. This put immense pressure on a small startup to execute a highly complex orbital capture. And let's be real, that's a maneuver that is notoriously tricky even for the most established aerospace giants out there. So this plan was essentially a cosmic Hail Mary. Katalyst stepped up with a rescue spacecraft they named Link. But the absolute wildest part of this whole endeavor: the timeline. Because Swift was sinking way faster than anyone originally expected, this entire mission, I'm talking designing, building, and prepping a brand new spacecraft for launch, was thrown together in under a year. Under a year. That is a ridiculously aggressive timeline for any standard space mission, let alone a completely unprecedented orbital rescue of a non-cooperative target. But against all odds, they actually pulled off that aggressive planning phase. It led to this highly anticipated, super hopeful liftoff of the Link spacecraft in early July. But, man, the triumph of that launch was pretty short-lived. Just a few weeks into the mission, absolute panic set in when the Link spacecraft went into an uncontrollable spin. Ground teams worked around the clock, desperately trying to salvage the operation, but eventually the reality of the situation just became undeniable. And just this past Wednesday, the mission was officially called off. So let's talk about what actually went wrong. The technical failures that doomed the rescue all started with that terrifying spin. Now, I have to give immense credit to the flight controllers here, because they actually managed to intervene and successfully slow down Link's tumble, which honestly is a massive achievement all on its own. But even with the tumbling slowed down, these persistent pointing and positioning problems just kept plaguing the spacecraft. And the thing is, capturing a tumbling, uncooperative object in the total vacuum of space, it requires literal millimeter-level precision. If you can't precisely control exactly where your rescue craft points and how it positions itself, attempting that kind of delicate orbital capture is, well, it's just impossible. Which brings us to a pretty sobering reality. Since the Katalyst team announced that Link won't be able to attempt the capture and boost maneuver, the Swift Observatory is officially doomed. After a magnificent 20-year run of mapping the most violent phenomena in the universe, it's on an irreversible path. NASA confirmed the telescope is eventually going to plunge right back through the atmosphere, meaning, yeah, a fiery re-entry. Its final demise is expected to happen later this year, likely no earlier than October. But despite the failure, NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman really summed up the resilience behind the whole mission. He stated, "This is not the outcome we were working toward, but it does not change why this mission was worth attempting." And I think that perfectly grounds the technical disappointment in human ambition, right? It shows profound institutional resilience. Even knowing the massive risks and that insanely compressed timeline, attempting to save a vital scientific instrument was absolutely the right call. The effort itself had intrinsic value. And we're seeing a very similar vibe from the private sector side, too. Katalyst CEO Gan-hee Lee noted that they took on this high-risk, high-reward challenge and are super proud of the milestones they reached, saying they've already learned a tremendous amount. And honestly, that right there is the core ethos of the cutting-edge aerospace industry. Up there, failure is often just data by another name. The sheer fact that a startup managed to build and launch a rescue vehicle in under 12 months is a huge milestone. It provides immense, actionable data for their future endeavors.
Plus, there's actually a pretty significant silver lining to this whole endeavor. The Link spacecraft isn't just going to be immediately deactivated. Far from it. Instead, Katalyst is going to keep operating Link in close proximity to the sinking Swift telescope. Even though they can't physically grab it, they're going to use this unique real-world scenario to simulate proximity ops. So they're effectively transforming what could have been a dead-end mission into a highly valuable active orbital testing ground, all to develop capabilities for the next time we need a space rescue.
So all of this leaves us with one really critical question. What exactly will we learn from Swift's fiery end to save the telescopes of tomorrow? The reality is, space exploration is always going to be fraught with these high-risk, high-reward challenges. Swift might be doomed to burn up in our atmosphere, sure, but the lessons learned from this $30 million rescue attempt and the real-time data currently being gathered by Link hovering right nearby might just be the exact blueprint we need to successfully rescue the great observatories of the future. Thanks for joining me to unpack this incredible story. Keep looking up, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.
How did you like today's discussion? If you have any questions about this topic, don't forget to let me know in the comment. Stay well, stay healthy.